Hello friends, welcome to episode 119 of the Shauna Stitches Podcast. I'm Shauna and this is my crafty channel where I talk about all the things that I've been working on lately. Today is September 21st, 2025. It's Sunday and it is 10:21 a.m. So right about the time I normally record. I am coming to you from my craft room here on the Oregon coast and we are having some rain showers today. I am wearing my Fosette top or Fosette crop. I can't remember which. My version is not cropped. And this is a pattern by Devin, Ventre of the Knitty McPurly podcast, or just Knitty McPurly. She dyes yarn and makes patterns. My yarn is not hers. This is Candy Skein DK weight yarn. She's no longer a dyer. Obviously I use three colors, a pink, a gray, and then this kind of like burgundy fuchsia color. I have so much to show you today, but before I start showing objects, let me just remind you that there are links right down below to everywhere you can find me. That includes Ravelry project pages, my email, and Ask Me Anything thread, Goodreads, Instagram. I think that's about it. Okay, let's dive right into finished objects. I have so many to show you, and that's because they're teeny tiny. I do have them in a Ziploc bag. It's going to be loud. I will try to edit out some of the loudness, but I can't really show you these through the bag very well. Let me string these up. While I'm doing this, I should tell you, these are all patterns from the 12 Sparkly Baubles collection by Stacey Lewis, who is the knitting tutor. All right. I think I have them all here. Will you be able to see them all? Probably not. It's a whole lot of baubles. So this is 8 finished baubles. I started these September 18th, and today's 21st, so I've made 8 baubles in the last few days. These are all different patterns. I'm not going to remember what's what, but I do know this one here was day 1, and yep, I'm not going to remember from there on out, so I'll just show them to you. I have them linked down below. But instead of linking 8 different project pages, I just linked day 1. And then from there, you can just go to my Ravelry projects and find what one you're looking for, hopefully. They all have their own separate page. And I should tell you the reason why, well, there's several reasons why I'm making these. These are all going to be gifts. But the reason I got motivated to start working on these gifts is that Stacey is having her annual Bauble along. This year is specifically for her spooky collection. That's why it's a different time this year than normal. I believe it started the 18th and it goes through the 31st of October, if I'm not mistaken. I do believe you can still sign up, and even though she has just now come out with her spooky collection, you don't have to knit a bauble from the spooky collection. You can knit any of her patterns, and each finished bauble is an entry. I'm not quite sure what the giveaway prize is, but it doesn't matter. So there's a Ravelry group over there where everyone is posting their finished objects. And just to interject, I do love this one. I don't know how well you can see it. My yarn choice isn't the best for showing off some of these patterns, but that's because, specific reason, I am using Chicken Lady Fiber Arts in the LEO colorway, and that's because these will be for my coworkers. Also, I am not posting these to Instagram because my coworkers do look at Instagram. So anyway, I don't think they watch my podcast. If they do, act surprised. I don't know. So my goal is to knit roughly 35 of those. And if you watched my April episode of this year, I had just gotten this yarn in. I got 2 skeins of this, and then I have one that's called the Thin Gold line, which it has the black and then a gold color. And that's the color for Dispatchers. So some of those will be that color. Most of them will be this color. And I had told you I wasn't sure if I would get those done this year. Let's be honest, I only have 8 done. I'm not sure I'll get them done this year either. But when I make it a focus, I can get quite a few done. So that's my goal. I would love to be able to gift those this Christmas. So cheer me along, and if you feel like knitting some baubles for your Christmas tree or for gifts, come join me and sign up for Stacey's Knit Along. The next finished object I have to show you is a fairly old one. I finally finished my blueberry waffles in Stitchin Octopus is the dyer, and the color is Mermaid Slumberparty with this hint of pink at the cuff and toe. And I just finished the second sock this morning, so that feels really good to have these off the needles. This pair here was my oldest 2025 whip, so not my oldest whip by far, but I have done really good this year about casting on less things and also finishing the things that I actually do cast on. So it feels really good to have these off the needles. I started these April 19th of this year, and I finished them today, September 21st. And it's my go-to sock pattern of blueberry waffles, which is a waffle stitch, which is just essentially kind of a broken rib pattern. And it's great. It's so great for different size feet and legs because it has a really nice stretch. So these are going to be a gift. I actually have a work thing that is taking me out of town this next week. Otherwise, I would be getting these sent in the mail immediately. But I think they're going to have to wait for probably this upcoming Friday, hopefully. So it'll be very good to get those to the person I intended them for, and it just feels really nice to have those off the needles. So of my 2025 projects, that leaves my Marled Magic blanket, which you guys have seen and you will see again today, and my pressed flowers sweater, and then the upcoming Stephen West Cowl. And I am making project pages for these, but I'm getting them done pretty quickly. So I kind of count it, kind of don't. But yeah, that's 2 projects from this year, technically on the needles, both that I'm still actively working on. So that feels amazing. All right, now speaking of those whips in progress, let's talk about them. I just mentioned my Marled Magic blanket, so let me show you where I'm at. And you know what? Now that I'm pulling this out, I did not make a note of what sections I finished since I last showed you. So I may repeat myself here. Hopefully I don't forget any. Also, I don't know that I'm going to remember the section number for everything. I know this pink one is 9, and I do believe I showed that to you last time. Section 10 is over on the side, side of the blanket. That's 10, I think. 11, I think I showed you those last time. And let's see, what was 12? Oh no, am I off 12? I think this gray one might have been 12. This might be where I left off last time showing you. This was another seed stitch section. Actually, I just completely I forgot this section completely. That's where I was, I do believe, because I remember showing you this section and I was using the yellow from my first section and then the light orange from this. I think that's ringing a bell. So maybe that was section 12. It's getting a lot to remember at this point. And then we had this green and pink section. That one I held one tonal green, and then a Christmas color actually is the pink, white, yellow, and maroon. And then the section I'm working on now, this is section 16. I know I'm over halfway. 14 is halfway. I don't love this combination so much, but I set aside yarns to use for this, and you know what? They have to get used, or they need to get used, because it's stuff that, where's my bag? It's stuff that I'm not going to use for something else. So for that section that I'm working on right now, I'm again using this Knit Picks. This is silk and alpaca. And the other one is is it Knitted Wit? I believe it's Knitted Wit yarn. I had knit a pair of socks out of this. That's why it looks a little crinkly. And I just don't love this yarn for socks. They didn't really have much stretch, and they were difficult to get on, but even harder to get off. So I just frogged those, and no idea what else I would use that yarn for. So I'm holding them together, and you know, now that I see it on the screen, I don't hate it. It's just not my favorite. But again, red isn't normally my favorite color, so that might have something to do with it. But anyway, I am still enjoying that project. I haven't worked on it for several days because since I record every 2 weeks, what I've been trying to do is focus on my blanket for one of those weeks and then another project for one of those weeks. And this week, I obviously got sidetracked by the baubles. So that's kind of like gone by the wayside. But my next work in progress is that other project that I did work on quite a bit. And that is my Pressed Flowers sweater. Let's see, here is the front. So the body is the same length as the last time I showed you, but I finished the decreased portion of the right sleeve here, and I'm working on the decreases on the left sleeve. So I've just about finished. To do the decreases, you do the chart 2 times. I've finished the chart almost once. I'm a few rows shy of that, and then would have to do it a second time. So one of the things that has caused me to stall on this project is that I'm playing Yarn Chicken. And right now, I can't tell how much Yarn Chicken I'm playing. I just know that I am running lower on my green than I would like to be. And technically, according to the pattern, I have enough of the green, actually have more than I need, but my row gauge is off. So I'm having to do more rows to create the same length that the pattern calls for. And in general, I like my sweaters to be longer anyway because I'm quite tall. So that being said, I have 6 balls currently attached to the sweater, and if I can figure out which one, can I? No. Okay. This skein here, you can see it's a 50-gram skein initially, and there's not much of it left. Think about 10 grams. This is what I used to do this entire decrease section of the sleeve. I started a new ball at the armpit, and that is about 40-ish grams. And I measured this. This is 9 inches from the armpit to, it hits just about my elbow now. So I measured, and I would need to do another 10 inches, 7 of those being in pattern, 3 being in the cuff. So I've decided to prioritize the body because right now it comes to like here. I don't do cropped, and I definitely don't do that kind of cropped. So what my plan is, I will finish out the decreases on the left sleeve, and then I'm going to just leave the sleeves where they're at. I'm going to focus on the body. If I'm remembering correctly, I have 4 skeins left, and that includes the one that's currently on the body, which is almost a full skein still. So that'd be 200 grams of yarn, but for 200 grams of the green, I have to finish the body and hopefully do a bit more on the sleeves. So I think what I'm going to try and do, my yarn is all My red yarn got tangled up in here, and I don't, oh, because why is that in there? Never mind. We'll just leave it in there. Anyway, what I was saying was I'm going to try and do the body first and then come back to the sleeves with what I have left. I'm just worried that I won't have enough left. And I really don't want to sleeve the ends right at my elbow crease. Truly, I would want to either just a bit higher, but I really don't want this as a short sleeve. If I have to do 3/4 length, I can handle that, but I would really prefer long sleeves. And just in case you're wondering, I already looked to see if the yarn was still available. I didn't tell you what the yarn is. Let me backtrack a minute here. And it's all connected to projects and clips in it. Having 6 skeins of yarn on one project is difficult. Anyhow, this is Skeinz Poppy in the color Samphire, and also Skeinz, I'm covering it, Pulse in the color Flutter is my color changing yarn. So I did check Skeinz, and they are currently out of the Samphire color. They have other colors of Poppy, but that doesn't do me any good. And I checked on Ravelry, and nobody has that same color in their stash. So I did reach out to a few friends who I know shop at Skeinz, and nobody had that color. So I feel like I'm pretty much stuck with what I have there. One thought is I could use that color changing yarn maybe for the cuffs. I just don't think that's going to look right though. So I'm not sure. If you have any suggestions, that would be helpful. If you have any of the yarn in the color Samphire, please let me know, especially if you're willing to part with it. And yeah, let me know what you think. I will really be very frustrated and upset if I have to frog that, because I thought I had enough yarn. I should have had enough yarn. And I never get gauge, really, especially row gauge, and it's just never come back to bite me. And maybe this won't. Maybe I'm just too early in thinking I'm playing yarn chicken, but I realized that I was running out, and so I feel like I'm playing yarn chicken. Okay, my next project to show you is the Serene Socks. This is a pattern by 3 by the Sea Designs. It's kind of a similar, it's not exactly a waffle stitch, but it does have a nice stretch to it. And this is not on a blocker, but last time I showed you that I had finished the first sock. So I'm currently working on the second sock. And I have a ways to go, but I hope to get these finished soon. It'd be nice to gift these this Christmas, because I think they were intended for last Christmas. My yarn is Ice Yarn's Magic Sock, which is a self-striping, as you can see. And I think that's all I have to say about that. I am knitting these on a 2.5mm needle. That is my go-to for gift socks. My own personal socks, I usually knit on a 2.25. I'm kind of wondering about that though. I think I might try doing a 2.5mm sock with 60 stitches. That's what I knit Stephen West's Delectable Collectible socks on this year, and I haven't worn those yet, and I'm curious to see like how the wear is on a 2.5mm knit sock versus a 2.25, because my 2.25 knit socks, those last me a really long time. But if possibly just opening that gauge up the tiniest little bit, and I still get good wear, but they fit well, and less stitches to knit, that would be great. I'm not sure. I haven't decided. I do have a little bit of progress to show you on my anthology throw. I haven't made it super far, but I did completely finish the 6th color. So this is an advent from Cuttlebums from 2024. And the 6th color is this yellowy orange. And there's truly not enough on there to see the 7th color, but I did cake it up and added it in. Let's see if I can show you. Where did I add that in? I know I didn't do that many stitches after adding it. I'm not seeing my yarn tails. Are they that close? Nope, I don't know. I don't see them. They're there somewhere. So part of that really just what's on the needle. So you truly can't tell. But this project will be done eventually. I cannot wait for it to be done. I think this will be one of my December focus projects if something else doesn't catch my eye first. That's the problem, is I do get captivated by new things. Okay, and I mentioned that I'm going to be going out of town for work, so I'm going to be bringing some baubles and, of course, my yarn for baubles. But I think because what I'm going to is a conference structure, I've been to this before, and you just sit at tables in a room and there's a presenter or presenters and they just talk. And I knit in it before, so nobody was too upset. Well, nobody was upset at all, at least not that they told me. And at that time, my boss was sitting right there and he didn't mind, so I think it'll be fine. But this is a project I'm going to bring to knit during that conference. So this is the very meager beginnings of a Sockhead cowl, my absolute favorite cowl to knit and to wear. You just do about 4 inches of 2x2 ribbing, weigh your yarn, and then knit a big long tube of stockinette. And then once you have the same amount of yarn that you used for your 4 inches of ribbing, you start ribbing again and you finish off with 4 inches of ribbing. This is my yarn. This is Candy Skein. What color was this? This is the Mandalorian oranges. So named after the Mandalorian TV show. And it's gray, pink, and white. Some of my favorite colors. This I started October 28th of 2022. So it'll be really good to get some work done on this. And I imagine by the time that you see this again, it's going to be much, much bigger. Let's hope anyway. And I remember when I bought this yarn, I remember starting the pattern. My husband and I had gone to a nearby town, actually where Candy Skein used to be. That's a yarn store. And what were we doing? We went to dinner. We might have gone to a movie, but I didn't bring a project with me. So I stopped in, bought the yarn and bought the needles and immediately cast on. And because I didn't have a plan for it, it was just kind of a spur of the moment, I just let it sit there. And I've worked on it a little bit since then, but not a whole lot. So it'll be really good to get something done on that. And I think that is all the projects that I have to show you today. Here I was packing up all of my stuff to bring back in the living room with me, and I remembered I was going to show you my Stephen West Mystery Knit Along yarns for this year. So this is for the Mystery Musicale. I already have my yarns caked up, which actually makes them a bit harder to show. So I have these 3, and then my pop of color is this one. So those are my 4 main colors. I still don't know what order we'll be using them in, but I am ready to go. All of my yarns are by Tuscan Knits, who is no longer a dyer. I just happened to pull up the one that actually has a name. This is the color Love Letter. That's my lightest color. But I bought all of these during her going out of business sale, and so most of them did not have a name. There are 2 or 3 different bases here, and so they're all fingering weight and they're all plenty soft, so I think that will be just great. And I do happen to have not 1 but 2 mohairs that will work, both by Tuscan Knits. Again, these came in these mystery grab bags, and so it's very interesting. When I got these yarns, of course I like them, I think they're pretty, but they're not like my colors, except for maybe this one. I would call this my color. And I set them aside. They were special. I didn't know what to do with them. And when I was putting palettes together this year for the mystery knit along, this wasn't the first thing that came to mind, I'll be honest. But then when I saw them together and they were all the same dyer, which means that they usually work together better, it just felt like it was meant to be. And so these are outside of my normal colors, but I am excited. The reason I haven't skeined up the mohair is that the mohair dare is optional, and it's calling for just one 25-gram skein. And so these are 50 grams, and I have 2 of them. So I will cake them up for sure when I know I want to use them, and then I have to decide, do I want to use both colors or just one? Not that any of us really know what it looks like yet, but if you have any suggestions about which one might work better, or if I should use both, I'd love to hear it. And that is my mystery palette. So I'm very excited to cast on. Are you guys going to participate this year? If so, what are your colors? Last week I did film a review of all of my mystery shawls. You can see them along the couch back there. I know you can't see all of them because I'm in the way, but all, is it 7? I believe I've done 7 so far. All 7 are on the back of the couch, and this year is my 8th. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, this year is my 8th mystery shawl. I hope that you are joining along if you're excited to do so, and if not, follow me. I will be recording special episodes for each of the clues that comes out, like I've done in the past, and I really enjoy that format, and everyone else seems to as well. So if you're interested, that will be coming out soon. So let me tell you about a little bit of life stuff. I don't have a whole lot going on, which is always my preference. But yesterday we did install a sliding glass door doggy door. So it's just a separate panel of a sliding glass door that has a like in and out swinging door. And trying to get my chihuahuas to learn how to use it. And they're not big fans yet, so I hope that they can adjust to that. The other thing that I noticed is that just today, right before recording, I noticed there's a small gap between, it's only at the very top of the door, probably 3 inches, and it's between the normal sliding glass door that's part of the wall, you know, part of the door, and the new part of the door. Just, gosh, it's probably, I don't know, a 1/16 of an inch, but you can see light through it. So it's not a big deal right now, but I feel like when the temperatures get down to freezing, it will be a big deal. So the door that we bought actually came with some, I guess, weather stripping, for lack of a better word. And I didn't put that in because I really want this door to be something that's easily removed. I don't want it to be a permanent or even semi-permanent kind of fixture, because the way it goes in is super easy. It has springs at the top, and you just slide it up, depress the springs, and then slide it into the groove at the bottom, and then you can just slide it. So I didn't screw anything into anything, and I didn't apply the weather stripping. So I think that might be not the best. But if I were to put the weather stripping in, then I would not be able to use my sliding glass door at all. And it's really the only way into our backyard. We do have a side gate, but that seems very inconvenient. So if you know anything about doggy door sliding glass doors and how to maybe weatherproof them a little bit better than, and not have it be permanent or even semi-permanent, that would be helpful. I'm just not quite sure what to do about that little gap. The other life stuff, obviously, I've mentioned twice now that I'm going out of town for work. I have to drive 6 hours away one way. I leave tomorrow, Monday, and then I come back Thursday night. So it's going to be a long few days, and especially sitting and listening to presentations. But that's okay. At least I can knit, I think. And yeah, my husband just started nursing school, which it's definitely an adjustment. He's been on night shift for over a year now, and actually it's been almost 2, I think October, November would have been 2 years. So he's been on night shift all this time, which meant when I had days off, my whole day pretty much was by myself, and then I would see him for a few hours in the evening. And now we are sleeping on the same schedule, trying to get used to that again, and spending the days together, trying to get used to that. It's definitely an adjustment. I think it's a good adjustment. It's just, it's different. It's different having him awake all the time that I'm awake, and it's working fine though. So he, actually today, I need to get my sewing machine out and try to sew on some patches onto his scrubs. For college, they had to have specific color scrubs and they have to wear a patch. I'm not sure if it's on the chest or on the sleeve or what. But funny little story, when I was in the Navy and we had to sew our own patches on, we had a kind of jacket that was our dress jacket. And the very first time that I ever sewed a patch on the sleeve, I actually sewed the sleeve shut. So I was able to get it apart, no big deal. And the second time I got it sewn on just fine. But needless to say, sewing patches on, especially on sleeves, is not my favorite thing to do. And I did tell my husband that I have sewed a sleeve shut before. So hopefully it goes better this time. I'd like to think I know a little bit more about sewing and just life in general than I did at, 21 years old is when that happened. I'm now 46, so lots of life has happened since then, and hopefully I can sew. Other than that, I think that's our big news. So let me tell you about the books that I've been reading. I finished Sunrise on the Reaping, which was Hunger Games book 0.5 by Suzanne Collins. And so this is the book that covers the story of Haymitch. And I have to say, I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4.5 stars. If you remember in my previous episode, I had mentioned that I finished, what was that one called? The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And that was book 0 in the Hunger Games series. And that one I liked a lot. I gave it 4 stars. That was the one that covered President Snow. And just hearing about Haymitch's backstory was crazy. I really, really enjoyed that book. Almost 5 stars, just shy of 5. It makes me really want to keep reading the whole series, but I have not picked up Hunger Games book number 1 yet to read. I've read it before. I don't know if I'll reread it, but I really do enjoy that whole storyline. I also finished listening to Bossy Pants by Tina Fey. That was an audiobook that I got through Libby, and I gave it 3 stars. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I didn't find it all that funny. It was just fine. I think 3 stars is a it's fine category. Not much else to say about that. I did enjoy the fact that it was narrated by her. I think that added a lot to the audiobook, but I was never a Tina Fey fan. I don't like her. I don't dislike her. I'm just kind of indifferent, so it wasn't as if I was already a big fan. I probably would have liked it more. The other book that I finished was The Beachside Inn by Fiona Baker. I gave that 2 stars. If you remember listening to me talk about that before, both Sunrise on the Reaping and The Beachside Inn were books that I needed to read. I say needed to read for a Kindle Challenge award? I don't know what you call it, but within the Kindle app on your phone, if you have it, there's quarterly challenges and they come up available through the quarter. So you have your standard ones, which are something like read for a week, read for 30 days. I can't remember what the other one is. And then they'll have the mystery ones, and those vary a lot. This one, The Sunrise on the Reaping, was one of 25 books that you could read to qualify for one of these challenges, and I didn't think I was going to get it. I put the book on hold on Libby, and it just happened to come up in time that I could finish it by the end of September, which was great, but I was kind of set on not exactly getting that badge, and it was like to read, I think, one of the top 25 books of 2025 at the time. They came out with a list. And so I really just try not to buy books. Not that I don't support authors when I really want to, But in general, I know I'm not a rereader of books, and so I prefer to borrow them from the library where I just read through them the one time and then I can return them and move on to something else. So, yeah, so I was able to get that one. And the other one was Beachside Inn. And that one, you had to read a book from a set of different series, so more than one book. And it had to be, you had to read it this quarter, only from a select few. And then you had to go into, they have, I can't remember what it's called. It's not called reread. They give you like a little synopsis of one of the books or all the books in a series, so that, say you're reading Harry Potter and maybe a new Harry Potter book's going to come out. So what are there, 7 books? I don't even know. This is how bad I am about trivia. But actually we'll use the Hunger Games because I know how many there are. So there's 4 books plus the 2 first ones. And let's say they're going to come out with book number 5. But it's been so long since you read book number 4. You can go back and do a recap, maybe that's what it's called, recap, of book number 4, so that when you start book number 5, you are up to date and fresh, and you don't have to go back and completely reread book number 4. So I think it's a really cool feature. I just didn't love the fact that I had to pick from a select few. And on my vein of not wanting to buy a book, I went to the books that were available on Kindle. What is it called? It's not Kindle First, Kindle Prime. The Prime Reads, that's it. And so they have a select few books, or it's actually quite a lot of books, but they have books that come with your Prime membership. And it works like a library. You can check them out, and then once you read them, you return them. So that was one of the ones that I could read to qualify for this badge. And let me just tell you, had I not really wanted this stupid badge that gets me nothing, I absolutely would not have finished it. And it's a series. I can't even imagine somebody reading the next book. And I think this is actually book number 2. I couldn't tell you what the first one's called. It was so boring. That's why I gave it 2 stars. I could care less. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. They would come across challenges in the book. Like, one of the girls is trying to decide if she wants a divorce from her husband after she found out he was cheating on her, and they have a kid together. And meanwhile, she's trying to open this inn. And it's just like the way that they handled things in the book was like nothing was a big deal. Like, oh yeah, he's cheating on me, no big deal. I'm just going to go open this inn. It was like, I don't know. There was no emotion to it. It was really strange. Could not connect to any of the characters. Definitely could not connect to the story. And I didn't love it. Maybe I should have given it 1 star. I don't know. I gave it 2. Maybe I'll reserve 1 stars for like, did not finish. Although I was tempted not to finish. So do not recommend. Somebody in like the reviews related it to a Hallmark movie. No, I can't even call it that, because at least those, I feel like you kind of root for a character, or you want something to happen. You want the couple to get together. I could care less in this one. And let me tell you about the books that I am currently reading. I am reading Bonbons and Burglars, which is the Frosted Misfortunes Mystery book number 4. I have not read the rest of the series. I actually won this book as a Kindle book through the Kindle giveaways. And I'm 17% in, and so far, I would say that you don't need to have read the other ones. It's a very light and fluffy mystery, which I do actually kind of like those. So far, it's about a bakery shop owner who is trying to make some cupcakes for a wedding, and she finds a dead guy in her freezer. So that's what I know so far, and it's just a very lighthearted, easy read so far, and that's sometimes exactly what I need. I am listening to Be Ready When the Luck Happens by Ina Garten, and if you don't know who Ina is, I'm not that familiar with her, but I do know that she is a chef, and I think she probably has episodes or shows on Food Network or something similar. I don't know that I've actually ever seen any of those, but I know that I love cooking shows. That's one of my favorite things to watch. And it just sounded interesting. It was something that was available now through Libby, and so I'm just giving it a shot. And actually, I couldn't tell you how far I am in, not very, but it's very interesting so far. She's talking about her life growing up, meeting her husband, and college, and the expectations that were put on her by her parents growing up and stuff. So far it's nothing really to do about the restaurant or cooking or things like that, but it's interesting. And I am still reading Wicked Dreams by Lisa Jackson and Nancy Bush. That's it. That's everything I'm reading right now. I should get a lot, maybe all of that audiobook done on my way to and from this training that I have. It is 6 hours away. So 12 hours, yes, I should definitely finish it because I think the whole book is like 8 hours. And I usually listen at 1.25 speed on my audiobooks. I think that's it. Trying to think of what to ask you guys to tell me this week. I would love to know if you are interested in knitting baubles, if you have ever knit a bauble, and what you thought of it. If you have knit any of Stacey, was it Stacey Lewis? The Knitting Tutor is her pattern designer name. If you've knit any, I would love to know what your favorite one is because I only have one more to go in this set. It's a chevron design. And once I'm done with that set, I'm going to buy another set. And I probably I'll need like 2 or 3 more sets if I make each bauble unique. And I'm kind of leaning towards doing that because I really enjoy changing it up. It's the same thing. So it's like knitting a sock over and over again, but it's knitting a different pattern sock. And I enjoy that. So if you have any recommendations for that, I would love to hear it. And I think that's it. Please leave me any comments or questions down below. Like and subscribe, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.